Good morning and welcome, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon when you're watching this. We'd like to welcome you this morning, and as we get a little bit closer and more fully into the holiday season, our talk title today is Who Provides? It's really important for us to de-stress during this time of holiday season. No matter what your celebrations may be, at times we can put too much anxiety and stress on ourselves, and indeed, not just during times of holiday seasons. Sometimes some of us have built a habitual habit of creating anxiety and upheaval in our lives, if not in the physical realm, in the mental realm. And what we know about that is it manifests itself in the physical. So today we're talking about who provides. I'd like to begin with a story from a man named Mark Madeira. And Mark this is a true story that he has written in Guideposts, and he writes about how he was facing bankruptcy and he was pondering how he was going to handle keeping his business going. And he mentioned it to his wife, and his wife just simply and very quietly said to him, "Look at the birds in the air." And he knew instantly what she was referring to. It was a Bible verse from Matthew 6, in which it's written, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, yet your heavenly Father feeds them." And so when we think about this idea of our Heavenly Father, it is vital that we get a clear understanding of what that means for us. For me, your Heavenly Father means that eternal, omnipotent, omnipresent essence of life itself, the universal spirit of life, not a man in the clouds. And with that in mind, as we turn to that aspect of us that created us, that we are created in the image and likeness as and of, we can look metaphysically at this idea of looking at the birds in the air and somehow use that to move us into a place of physically looking at the birds in the air, either in our mind or in our world, and feeling and experiencing that moment of peace, that moment of remembering truth. Metaphysically, sparrows represent freedom, and that freedom is specified metaphysically by freedom of the soul to choose between good and evil. And so as we think about good and evil in the duality of mankind, it is the things that we judge to be good or bad. And in the universal allness that is, there is only capital G good. There is only the goodness. And so we look for that idea of finding freedom in that essence of being the sparrow, and finding that peace within our own soul. I'm questioning, the idea, does anxiety serve anyone? Does it serve anything? Does that anxiety have any good purpose in your life? And I would rather gamble the thought that for some of us, we feel that anxiety pushes us forward. And you're probably right. It probably does push you forward. The question I would ask is, do you need that anxiety in order to be pushed forward? Would it be much sweeter of an experience to be pushed forward by joy, pushed forward by the joyous excitement of what this next now moment holds in store for you? And does anxiety serve you in a positive way? I'm guessing no. Further on in that Bible verse, they talk about the lilies of the field. And so we're looking at the birds that do not sow or reap, and yet they eat prosperously, abundantly. We're looking at the lilies of the field that grow, that live, that provide beauty, that blow in the wind, and that sometimes smell really pretty. But they do not toil. They simply lie in the darkness until they sprout and grow and blossom. And that is for us to do also. And the way to do that is to seek ye first the kingdom, and all else is given to us. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe. And so as we allow our mind, our personal mind, to dwell in the spiritual essence of goodness, of beauty, of life, and we actually see our desires unfold right before our eyes, and we feel as if they are truly here. We are experiencing them as we see it, as we feel it. We are able to be it. The power of the universe then becomes a guide, a directive. We can listen within to our inner intuition, our inner divine intelligence, and listen to that and be guided by it, because it truly works for us as it works through us. It works for us as it works through us. And so as we consciously allow life to live as us, in us, it lives as us.
Well, more than likely you're getting into the Christmas spirit by now, and you may be wondering, how am I going to buy gifts with such limited income considering the circumstances that are going around me? And how do I, or why can't I feel joy or merriment when the world seems so ominous? Well, the word seems is the operative word here. What I hold in consciousness influences and dominates my reality. And so therefore what I hold in my mind and think about and how I see the world in my mind is actually how this world manifests and shows up back to me. And so I have to change the theme into something that I enjoy or prefer. You know, we put up our Christmas decoration just recently and realized that to regale our house or our home with tinsel and light, we just needed a trip to the attic. The beauty of Christmas was already within our house. We just needed to bring it forth. And to feel the sentiment of Christmas joy, we just needed to turn on some Christmas carols. The feeling of Christmas is already within our hearts. The carols just elicit that feeling and bring it forth for us into our physical experience. And the connection with loved ones is more in the love than in the physical connection or the interaction with our loved ones. And that love is unbreakable and eternal. There's nothing that can stop it. We hold it within us and we bring it forth into the world. And so the fact that we cannot join together with our loved ones during the holidays is a trifling idea when you consider that basically the love experience is nothing that is actually in the mixture. It's something that is in us, and we bring it forth into that situation. So we can actually be with our loved ones in our consciousness and feel that sense. You know, birds don't have to see the bigger picture. They don't have to look at the world and make their decisions based on what's going on in the world. They have an internal, inherent, instinctive trust. They're not influenced by the outer conditions. They follow an internal, instinctive directive. Plotinus, the Greek philosopher, says when he was speaking of a relationship between human realm and the intelligible realm, or higher states of consciousness, he said, "It is beautiful here below to withdraw from the cares of men. It is necessary, consequently, to withdraw oneself from the memory of such cares. In this sense, one can rightly say that the good soul is the forgetful soul. It takes flight from multiplicity, reduces the multiple to the one, abandons the indeterminate." Basically what he's saying is that remembering our true nature and releasing the trappings of the world around us, of our human existence, leads to peace. And when we can release those ideas and those frets and those worries about what's going on in life, we can actually enter into a state of peace.
And peace is indeed where we desire to be. And so let us end with another short story from someone that is inspirational, Reverend Jane Beach. She once wrote an article in which a lady had read, and she wrote down the quote that Reverend Jane said in the article. And the lady was experiencing her third time of having cancer. And the lady wrote thanking Reverend Jane, saying, I found your quote once again and brought it forth, and I've used it to propel myself forward into joy by remembering. She said the quote is this: do you remember all the times you worried unnecessarily? Don't let this be another one of those. Know I've got your back. Together we'll walk through it. So my friends, together we'll walk through it. Reach out to loved ones. Reach out to one of us. Reach out in your own mind to the God of your being, the God that always is with you, ever present. And so who provides? A power greater than we are that we can use for good.